Good morning, good people. I came here to shake something in your soul, not to entertain you, not to make you feel good, but to wake you up. Because for too long you've been walking around in the graveyard of potential, when God has already given you the permission to rise. Let me talk to you about something most people don't even recognize as dangerous. It's not loud, it doesn't scream, it doesn't break your door down, it doesn't even show up with a warning. It just whispers, "Not today." It lulls you into a false sense of security with phrases like, "You've got time," and "You can start later." But what you don't understand is that every time you listen to that voice, you are handing your destiny over to delay. Procrastination is not just a time management issue. It is a destiny management issue. It's not just about being late. It's about being out of alignment. Every time you delay what God has instructed, every time you push off the work you know you're supposed to do, every time you tell yourself you'll get to it when you're in the mood, you're training your mind to normalize mediocrity. You see, procrastination doesn't just steal your time. It steals your confidence. It begins to create a habit in your mind where action is always optional. You stop trusting yourself to follow through. You stop believing you're capable of finishing what you start. You delay so long that the fire that was once in your heart burns down into ashes, and eventually you confuse a buried purpose with a lost one. God never gave you vision for tomorrow. He gave you vision for now. When he spoke to Abraham, he said, "Go." He didn't say wait until you're comfortable. When he called Moses, he didn't wait for Moses to be perfect. He spoke in the moment. When Jesus called his disciples, he said, "Follow me," not "finish what you're doing and get back to me next month." Why? Because destiny has a window, and when that window opens, you've got to be ready to walk through it. Because it won't stay open forever, and I hear someone say, "But I don't feel ready." You think readiness is a prerequisite for greatness. No. Obedience is the prerequisite. You don't prepare to obey. You obey, and that obedience prepares you. The problem is we're trying to feel our way into action, when the real breakthrough comes when you act your way into feelings. You want motivation to start. But what if the motivation doesn't show up until after you've begun? I came to tell somebody that the longer you wait, the weaker you become. The longer you wait, the more crowded your mind becomes with doubts, distractions, and delays. Procrastination opens the door for fear, for self, doubt, for regret, and it becomes a cycle. You put it off because you're overwhelmed, and you're overwhelmed because you put it off. Listen to me. God gave you time as a currency. It is your greatest investment tool. Every minute you waste is a seed you refuse to plant. Every hour spent in delay is a harvest you will never see. You don't get time back. You can't reclaim wasted years unless you begin now to do what you were born to do. Your future is not found in some mystical tomorrow. It is hiding in the discipline you avoid today. Some of you are sitting on books that were supposed to be written, businesses that were supposed to be built, ministries that were supposed to be launched. You've got gifts that were meant to be active, not admired. You're admiring your potential when you should be activating it. The Bible says, "He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap." In other words, if you're always waiting on perfect conditions, you will never begin. The conditions are not going to be perfect. Your schedule won't be ideal. Your finances may not line up at first. Your mind may not feel fully equipped. But God doesn't bless what you delay. He blesses what you do. You don't need more confirmation. You need commitment. And here's the scary truth. Procrastination doesn't just delay your success. It can cancel it. Because there are assignments that come with expiration dates. Just like manna from heaven, it's fresh for a season, but if you let it sit, it spoils. You've got to move in your moment. There's a rhythm to destiny. And when heaven opens a window, you've got to walk through that thing with courage. Even if you're trembling, don't let procrastination become the comfort that cripples you. Don't let it be the pillow you sleep on while your dreams die in the next room. Don't say, "I'm waiting on God," when the truth is God is waiting on you. You don't need more time. You need more discipline. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be willing, because what you do now determines who you become next. Stop waiting. Start building. This is your moment. Some of the greatest threats to your success are not demonic. They're not spiritual warfare. They're not some generational curse. Sometimes the enemy isn't attacking you. You're just planted in the wrong soil. You're trying to grow in an environment that was never designed to feed you. And what's worse is that you've been there so long, you've gotten used to starving. You cannot become who you were called to be while living in an atmosphere that poisons your identity. Environments matter. Everything God created, He created with an environment. Birds need the sky, fish need water, plants need soil, and you, my friend, need alignment. If the environment is off, the growth is blocked. You're not broken. You're misplaced. Some of you are pouring your energy into circles that are silently sabotaging your calling. You're surrounding yourself with people who don't believe in growth, who mock vision, who are comfortable with average, who label your ambition as arrogance and your calling as too much. But hear me, you will never rise in an environment that resents your elevation. The truth is, your environment is either a greenhouse or a graveyard. It's either helping you flourish or slowly burying your purpose alive. Some of you are trying to grow roots in concrete. You keep telling yourself, "I can make it work," while every week your spirit is drained, your passion is dimmed, and your vision becomes blurry. That's not growth. That's survival. And you weren't created just to survive. You were created to thrive. You have to understand that what surrounds you will shape what's inside you, and what's inside you will begin to reflect what's around you. You cannot breathe fresh air if you keep inhaling toxic fumes. That constant negativity, that gossip, that doubt, that low expectation, that constant drama. It's not just annoying, it's deadly to your drive, it clogs your creativity, it clouds your faith, it makes you question your calling. And after a while, you're not even sure who you are anymore because you've spent so much time shrinking to make others feel comfortable. Let me teach you something that will free your future. Loyalty to dysfunction is not faithfulness, it's fear. Staying in toxic places and calling it being strong is a lie the enemy tells to keep you stuck. You don't owe anyone your potential. You don't have to keep explaining your purpose to people who have no intention of ever supporting it. Sometimes elevation requires separation, and sometimes protection looks like disconnection. When Jesus went to heal Jairus' daughter, the Bible says he had to put the mourners out of the room. Why? Because you can't work miracles in an atmosphere of unbelief. He didn't argue with them. He didn't try to convince them. He just put them out, because the presence of doubt will suffocate the possibility of destiny. You're trying to build a life of faith surrounded by voices of fear, and you wonder why it's not working. You don't just need the promise, you need the right place. That's why God sometimes allows people to leave your life. That's why certain friendships start to feel uncomfortable. That's why you suddenly feel restless in rooms that used to feel familiar. That's not rejection. It's revelation. God is showing you that your future can't be built in a contaminated atmosphere. You can't take old furniture into a new house. You can't pour new wine into old wineskins. You've got to make a clean break, and it's not always people. Sometimes your environment is internal. It's the media you consume, the thoughts you entertain, the places you go that drain your inspiration. Success requires intentional environments. You don't just stumble into success. You cultivate it. You build a space where purpose can breathe, where vision can live, and where faith can be fed daily. You align yourself with mentors, teachers, dreamers, doers. People who stretch your mind, not shrink it. People who challenge your habits, not comfort your laziness. People who see the greatness in you, even when you've forgotten it yourself. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is change your environment. You've been praying for clarity, but you're still surrounded by confusion. You've been asking God for strength, but you're still entangled in conversations that weaken you. It's not that God isn't speaking. It's that you're in a space that drowns out his voice. You're trying to climb with weights tied around your soul. And God is saying, I want to take you higher, but I need you to leave the crowd behind. Everyone can't go where you're going, and that's not arrogance, that's stewardship. You have to protect your oil, protect your fire, protect your drive. You can't let toxic environments drain what took years to build. You've worked too hard, cried too much, grown too far to turn back now. Don't let comfort keep you from your calling. Don't let familiarity become your cage. Step out, move forward. Find the space where your gift can breathe and your dream can run. Your environment must match your expectation, and if it doesn't, change it before it changes you. Fear doesn't always come kicking and screaming. It doesn't always show up wearing a mask and making threats. Sometimes fear is polite. It's quiet. It speaks in the voice of reason. It wraps itself in caution. It disguises itself as logic. It says things like, what if it doesn't work? Or what if you're not ready? Or let's wait just a little longer. And before you know it, you're stuck in a prison with invisible bars, living inside a life that looks safe but feels empty. Let me teach you something. Fear is not just an emotion. It's a strategy. It's the enemy's most effective tool for robbing people of their assignment, not by destroying them, but by distracting them, not by stopping them, but by stalling them. You're not where you are because of lack of talent. You're not stuck because of lack of opportunity. You're stuck because fear convinced you it was safer to stay still than to move forward and possibly fail. But here's the truth. Failure is not your enemy. Fear of failure is. Failure is part of the process. It's a teacher. It gives you feedback. It trains your resilience. But fear of failure, that will kill the dream before it's even born. It will cause you to abort your purpose out of anxiety. It will paralyze your potential and make you think you're protecting your peace when in reality, you're just postponing your progress. You cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. If you don't face the fear, it will manage your decisions. You will begin to shrink your dreams to fit your insecurities. You'll start setting goals that don't challenge you, so you never have to face the discomfort of possibly missing the mark. And that, right there, is how average becomes your ceiling. Fear will have you overthinking what you were anointed to do. It will make you rehearse every scenario in your mind, every critic, every failure, every mistake, until the idea of moving forward becomes overwhelming. You will start to believe that unless it's perfect, you can't proceed. But perfection is not a prerequisite for purpose. Faith is. Look through Scripture. God never waited for perfect conditions before he moved. He called Moses, a man with a speech problem, to speak to Pharaoh. He called Gideon, a man full of insecurity, to lead an army. He called David, a shepherd boy, to slay a giant. None of them felt ready. But God didn't need their readiness. He needed their willingness. You keep asking God to remove the fear. But what if he's asking you to walk through it? What if the victory is on the other side of the fear, not in the absence of it? What if you have to move scared, speak nervous, launch unsure, and still trust that he will show up when you do? Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement in the presence of fear. It's deciding that your destiny is more important than your discomfort, that your calling is more significant than your insecurity. It's standing in the middle of your doubts and saying, even if I fail, I won't quit. Even if I fall, I'll rise again. Even if they laugh, I'll still build. Because here's the thing, failure isn't fatal unless you quit. Every successful person you admire has a trail of failures behind them. But what separates them from the rest is that they didn't let the failure define them. They let it refine them. You learn more from falling than you do from standing still. You get stronger by struggling through the process. Some of you are praying for success, but you're not preparing for setbacks. You want the platform, but you're afraid of the pressure. You want the spotlight, but you're scared of the criticism. You want the harvest, but you're terrified of the dirt. You can't have one without the other. Every promise comes with pressure. Every level comes with a new test. But you can't let fear keep you at level 1 when God is calling you to level 10. Fear will whisper, stay comfortable. But faith will declare, step out. Fear will say, you're not enough. But faith will remind you, greater is he that is in me. Fear will ask, what if you fail? But faith will answer, what if I fly? You have a decision to make. You can live the rest of your life in the shallow end of safety, or you can launch out into the deep waters of destiny. You can let fear write your story, or you can tear the pen from its hand and let faith finish the chapter. You've been carrying too much potential to stay bound by fear. You've been chosen for too great a purpose to settle for safe. There is greatness inside of you buried beneath the fear, the hesitation, the doubt. And it's time to dig it up. It's time to step out. It's time to move. Don't let fear talk you out of your future. Don't let the fear of failure rob you of the testimony that's waiting on the other side of the test. You've got what it takes. You've always had it, and even if you fall, God will catch you, teach you, and send you back stronger. So take the leap. Do it scared. Do it unsure. But do it anyway. You will never become who you were born to be while trying to copy someone you were never meant to be. One of the greatest traps in the journey to success is not failure. It's not rejection. It's comparison. It sneaks in quietly, not as an enemy, but as a familiar voice. It says, look at them. It says, why are they further than you? It whispers, you're not doing enough. You don't have what they have. You're behind. And just like that, what once felt like purpose begins to feel like pressure. Comparison is not just a distraction. It is a thief. It will rob you of your peace. It will steal your creativity. It will poison your motivation. It doesn't just make you feel less than. It makes you question who you are at all. And the moment you start questioning your identity, you stop chasing your assignment. You start chasing theirs, but let me tell you this. Success is not a race. Purpose is not a competition. Destiny is not determined by popularity, followers, money, or applause. It's not about who's ahead, it's about who's aligned. God did not call you to outdo people. He called you to be obedient to your unique calling. When you compare yourself to others, you start living by their timeline. You look at their success and think you're late. You see their progress and assume you're behind, but let me tell you something. You are not late to your own purpose. You are not delayed in your own calling. God's timing for your life is tailor-made. And when you keep comparing, you're not just doubting yourself. You're doubting God's process for you. You don't know what's behind the curtain of someone else's success. You see the post, but not the pain. You see the highlights, but not the heartbreak. You see the outcome, but not the obedience it took to get there. And sometimes the very people you're comparing yourself to are comparing themselves to someone else. So everybody's imitating somebody, and nobody is fully living their truth. The devil doesn't have to destroy you if he can distract you with comparison. Because if you're busy being them, you can't be you. If you're focused on their lane, you'll crash in yours. You've got a voice. You've got a gift. You've got something that this world has never seen before. But if you bury your originality in the soil of imitation, you'll grow something that looks good, but doesn't fulfill you. You have to understand, identity is your anchor, purpose is your compass, and comparison will cut the cord between the two. You'll start choosing goals that impress people, not honor God. You'll start chasing platforms that feel good, but don't feed your soul. You'll start striving for approval instead of peace. And there's nothing more exhausting than trying to become someone you were never built to be. Comparison is a liar. It tells you that you're not doing enough. But the truth is, you are already enough. It tells you that you're missing something. But what you don't realize is that everything you need is already inside of you. It just needs to be activated, not imitated. You don't need their lane, you need clarity in your own. That's why it's so important to stay focused on your assignment. When you understand that your lane is sacred, you stop looking around and start looking within. You stop asking, what are they doing? And you start asking, God, what did you place in me? You stop scrolling for inspiration and start seeking revelation. Because the truth is, you'll never find your purpose in someone else's page. Some of you are discouraged, not because you're not doing well, but because you keep measuring your calling by someone else's season. But hear me, you are not called to be them. You are not supposed to look like them, sound like them, think like them, walk like them. You were crafted with divine fingerprints. Your life is an original design, and the only way to honor the Creator is to stop comparing the creation. You've got to break the addiction to comparison. You've got to stop scrolling and start sowing. Stop imitating and start initiating. Stop wishing and start working on what God gave you. Because when you pour into your lane, when you water your seed, when you nurture your gift, the harvest will come. Not their harvest, yours. You have to be bold enough to be authentic, confident enough to be unique, brave enough to believe that your pace, your path, your process, though different, is divine, because you don't have to be better than anyone. You just have to be faithful to what's in your hands. And let me say this, even if nobody sees it right now, even if it looks small, even if it's quiet, even if it's behind the scenes, keep building, keep writing, keep praying, keep working. Your time is coming, and when it comes, you'll realize that the wait was never a waste. It was a preparation for something you couldn't have built while staring at someone else's life. You don't need to be like them. You need to be fully you, because that's where the power is. That's where the blessing is. That's where the anointing is. Your oil flows in your own lane, so run your race. Trust your process. Silence the noise, and remember, comparison is a counterfeit. You were always meant to be an original. Let me tell you something plain. You will never walk into destiny on desire alone. Passion can get you started, but it takes discipline to finish. You can dream all day long, but if you don't develop habits to support that dream, you'll still be in the same place next year, only more frustrated. Because hope without structure becomes torment. Discipline is the bridge between vision and manifestation, and when you lack it, your life becomes a cycle of almosts and maybes. The enemy doesn't always attack through destruction. Sometimes he attacks through distraction. He doesn't need to break your body. He just has to interrupt your routine. You wake up with vision, but go to bed with nothing to show for it. You're busy, but you're not productive. You're moving, but you're not progressing. Because without discipline, movement is not momentum. It's just motion. Many people are stuck not because they don't know what to do, but because they won't do what they know. Discipline isn't about information. It's about implementation. You've read the books, you've heard the sermons, you've made the vision boards, but the truth is, nothing works until you do, and that means doing it when you don't feel like it, showing up when no one claps, practicing when no one's watching, saying no to temporary comfort so you can say yes to permanent change. Discipline is a decision you make every single day. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's not always exciting, but it is faithful. It shows up in the dark. It grinds when others sleep. It puts structure around your soul. It creates order where there was once chaos. And without it, your purpose becomes a prisoner of your preferences. We live in a culture that worships convenience, but success doesn't live in convenience. It lives in commitment. Everybody wants the crown, but nobody wants the cross. Everybody wants the fruit, but few want to plant, water, prune, and wait. But let me remind you, discipline is the price of greatness. You will never access consistent breakthrough with inconsistent behavior. The truth is, discipline hurts before it helps. It demands what your flesh resists. It tells your emotions to take a back seat. It doesn't negotiate with laziness. It challenges the just this once mentality. It gets in your face and says, no, not today. You've got a destiny to protect. You can't keep building your life on how you feel. Feelings are fleeting, but discipline creates consistency, and consistency compounds. You don't get strong by lifting once. You don't get wise by reading once. You don't get successful by working hard one time. It's daily dedication to small things that unlocks big breakthroughs. When you lack discipline, you start strong but finish nowhere. You start the book, but don't write the final chapter. You build the business plan, but don't execute. You set the alarm, but keep hitting snooze, and every time you break a commitment to yourself, you chip away at your confidence. You begin to stop believing in your own word. But when you start keeping promises to yourself, even the small ones, your soul begins to trust you again. Your spirit begins to rise again, and momentum is born out of integrity. Momentum doesn't happen overnight. It's the reward of daily discipline. It's doing the right thing over and over again until results start chasing you. You won't always see immediate fruit, but that doesn't mean the process isn't working. You may feel like nothing's happening, but beneath the surface, roots are growing, and one day, that discipline will produce a harvest that convenience could never grow. God is not obligated to bless what you're too lazy to manage. Praying for open doors while refusing to prepare is not faith. It's foolishness. You can't ask God for a platform you haven't trained to stand on. Discipline proves you're ready. It builds capacity. It tells heaven, I can be trusted with more. Don't confuse delay with denial. Sometimes your blessing is being held back, not because God is punishing you, but because He's waiting for you to develop the discipline to sustain it. He knows that without the right habits, the very thing you're praying for could destroy you. You don't just need the dream. You need the discipline to handle it. And let me tell you this, discipline doesn't just bless you. It blesses everything connected to you. Your children, your business, your ministry, your finances. They all flourish under a disciplined life. You begin to build legacy, not just lifestyle. You become a person others can count on, not just clap for. You were not called to live stuck in cycles. You were not created to run in circles of inconsistency. You were built for more. But to become all that, you must rule your habits, or your habits will rule you. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is not inspiration. It's discipline. So rise up, get up again, try again, push past comfort, build the routine, set the alarm, say no to distraction. Say yes to structure, and keep doing it until momentum catches fire, because once discipline takes root, nothing can stop your growth. So now, let me bring this home. We've uncovered the silent killers, those hidden forces that sabotage your success from the inside out. It's not always what's happening around you that blocks your breakthrough. Sometimes it's what's happening within you that's keeping you from rising. Some of you are living under the weight of negative self-talk, cursing your own future with the poison of your own words. But today, I declare that your mouth will no longer be a weapon against your destiny. You will speak life. You will speak possibility. You will speak favor. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Others are carrying the heavy burden of procrastination, delaying the divine, hesitating on the holy, putting off what was supposed to pull you forward. But I came to tell you, delay is not your friend. Purpose does not wait on your comfort, and time is not promised. If not now, when? Then there are those who have been bound by the fear of failure, frozen by the idea that if you step out, you might fall. But hear me, failure is not fatal. What's fatal is never trying. You were never meant to play small to protect your ego. You were meant to walk by faith, not by sight, even when your knees are shaking. Some of you are struggling because you keep measuring your value through comparison. You've been so busy watching someone else's lane that you've abandoned your own. But no more. You are not their copy. You are God's original. There is something inside of you that the world has never seen, and you don't need to compete to be called. And for those who started strong but keep losing momentum, let me remind you, discipline is your lifeline. It's not about motivation. It's about commitment, day in, day out. Show up when it's boring. Keep going when it's hard. Success isn't the reward of talent. It's the reward of consistency. So what do you do now? You rise. You silence the voices that lie. You take the step even if it's small. You stop looking around and start looking within. You build the habits even when no one's clapping, because the next season of your life won't be birthed from convenience. It will be birthed from clarity, conviction, and discipline. This is your time to break free from the things that have been secretly killing your success. This is your moment to grab hold of what God placed inside you and say, no more delay, no more fear, no more comparison. I am ready. Ready to build, ready to rise, ready to run the race, not like them, not with them. But the race set before you, you've got the vision. Now walk with the discipline to build it. You've got the calling. Now break the fear and pursue it. You've got the identity. Now crush the comparison and own it. And above all, remember, the power to succeed has always been inside of you, but it will only be unlocked when you stop tolerating what's been killing it. So go now, live bold, live focused, live faithful, and watch what God will do through a person who refuses to be buried by the weight of what they've outgrown. Your success is not a possibility, it's your responsibility. Now rise and walk in it.